everyone. A very warm welcome to your own Silicon Valley Tech Talks show, your go to place to learn about technology trends and innovations directly from the leaders. In today's show, we are fortunate to have Eleanor Merritt as our guest today. Eleanor is Senior Vice President at Oracle. She has been with Oracle for nearly 3 decades. Her team owns the portfolio of identity and access management. She's a seasoned leader in Silicon Valley and respected for her knowledge across a range of technologies required for digital transformation, including cloud and AI. So, without any further delay, let's go and talk to Eleanor and learn from her insights. Hi, Eleanor. Welcome to our show. How are you doing today?
I'm great, thank you. Nice to meet you.
Awesome. So, Eleanor, your team has been working on identity and access management, also known as IAM,
Mhm.
at Oracle. Can you share a bit more about the industry landscape around IAM? For example, what sort of challenges customers are facing with respect to IAM, and how can those challenges be solved?
Yeah, well, I always say identity and access management is at the center of your technology ecosystem. Like every system has users, user needs some form of access to applications, and it's identity and access management that powers all of that technology. And so, identity and access management, in my mind, is yes, first and foremost, a security tool. But almost equally, it is about ease of use and enhancing a user experience. Think about single sign-on. It first came about so that users didn't have to be logging in every time to every single application that was owned by a particular business. And it's evolved so far now that, we can use our Facebook login, our social login to log in to a bunch of, like, say, shopping apps and so on. And everybody just takes that for granted. So it's a hugely growing area. It still faces challenges. There's still challenges around hacks. We still are challenged with the user experience aspect. Multi-factor authentication is a great thing in many ways because it adds extra security. But I can tell you from my own experience losing my phone a few weeks ago, I felt like a non-person because I wasn't even able to cancel my driver's license at the time because I needed multi-factor authentication with my phone. I should mention I lost everything. I lost my cards as well. So there's downsides to it, but for the most part, this is the reality of the lives that we're living in today. Everything's becoming digitized, and so there needs to be a way to protect users of digital technology and everything that's associated with our identity. And we need to do that in a way that causes the least impact possible on those users. It should be as seamless as possible in terms of user experience.
And what sort of challenges your team is able to solve for the customers, the products you are building at Oracle?
So we have two major product areas that we cover. One is the identity access, which is mostly around powering single sign-on, multi-factor authentication, and it's used to manage the login infrastructure for our cloud, but we also sell it to our customers so they can leverage it for their own technologies, their own applications as well, and federate with third-party applications as well. So that's one big area. The other one is identity governance and administration, and that's around seeing what privileges or access privileges are appropriate for users given the roles that they occupy. And I'm oversimplifying it, but let's say you work in HR. Um, so you should automatically be able to access things like employee reviews, access compensation information for the employees, information to intelligence around compensation across an organization that you're responsible for. Conversely, if you're a product developer, you shouldn't have any of that kind of access. You only need to access your own information. And so when you have a company, a large, complex company, you can only imagine the different kind of roles that exist in it. You know, you'll have salespeople, you'll have product developers, you'll have marketing people, you'll have accounting and finance people, you'll have people who manage orders and so on. So they all need access to their own set of applications, and nobody else who's outside of that role should have that kind of access. Similarly, in the medical field, you know, you patients have certain level of access, doctors have another level of access. You have to make sure that you're meeting compliance requirements that exist across industries like HIPAA in the case of healthcare, but banking industries have many different compliance requirements over access. And then there's auditing requirements that also need to be met to make sure that there's nobody who's accessing stuff that they shouldn't that's outside of their role. Because we have seen cases where bad things happen. Somebody has access to an application that they shouldn't have. So that's the other big area that we produce products for.
I was also seeing that your team is also responsible for Fusion middleware and database support for on-premises. Well,
Yeah.
we've seen across last many years that there's a tremendous momentum in cloud migrations.
Mm.
Customers do want to move their workloads to cloud for cost
Yeah.
saving, agility, and many different reasons. What are some of the use cases which require customers to keep their workloads on premises and those workloads cannot be moved to cloud?
Yeah, I mean, there's some basic ones around sovereignty, data sovereignty, but Oracle has come up with solutions for that in the sense you can now have your own dedicated region, which is basically our cloud technology, but it's dedicated to you. And we have various sizes of those offerings. So you know, from the very big ones, which cost millions, to we have something called the Compute Cloud at Customer, which is a few hundred thousand. And so again, that you're getting to use cloud technology on premises. That's one. But I think the biggest one, the most common case is honestly is just around risk management. So customers have these very mission critical deployments that are managing really intrinsic parts of their business. Doing some kind of migration or change on them at all is risky. And so they have to weigh the cost of doing that change against what else is going on in their organization. This is what I see happening most commonly. It's a matter of priorities. You know, there's maybe the application itself. So, say you're a bank, right? Maybe you want to prioritize making a better user experience on your apps for your end customers, and then that impacts your ability to move, say, your database backend from on premises to cloud because you're spending most of your efforts on trying to do things like, oh, be able to get a loan approval in 10 minutes, you know, which is what I hear from some of our India banks. So because you're so dependent, say, on your database backend, you don't want to mess with that until you've got your app rock solid. And so then things like databases tend to lag in terms of movement from on-prem to cloud. But eventually everyone's going to move. It's just, it was predicted that it would happen a lot faster than it actually is. And this is not unique to Oracle. I've talked to many other vendors who are in similar businesses to us, and they still have a really solid on-prem business. You know, it's in many cases more than 50% of their revenue.
Eleanor, being someone who has spent almost 3 decades in the technology industry, and I'm sure you have seen many ups and downs. If I ask you, based on your experience, what are the key trends you are foreseeing in the technology industry going forward? What you're really excited about?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard not to be excited about AI. I mean, I have a mixture of excitement and trepidation about it, though. It's amazing the potential in productivity improvements that we can gain for it from it. Because even today, with all the sophisticated analytics that exist outside of AI, it's really difficult to process natural language, and so much of our data is in natural language. And the fact that we now have tools that can not only understand that, but also generate meaningful output from that is just super exciting. Oracle Database announced their 23 AI release back in September, and with that, you can actually use AI features to leverage generative AI on your Oracle database data, which, I don't know how many gazillion petabytes exist in the world, that's untapped for use of in AI. And now this can be leveraged together with your traditional LLMs. The world's your oyster here. It's almost unimaginable what can be achieved with that. I mean, I'm thinking of examples just from my own product support area. We've got data on customer tickets that we can now evaluate for learning on how to immediately identify known issues, because you'll be surprised, many customers report the same issues. So being able to immediately identify some issue as known and give a response to it, it's going to help people move faster, so much quicker. And then our developers can focus on what's real, right? What's new. And that's just really exciting for our productivity. But of course, there are fears and concerns about AI, and, does it take away so much work from the populace at large that we have a large population who won't have the right skills to exist in this kind of world going forward, and how that's going to impact society? That is something I and a lot of other people worry about too.
You're a great example of someone who has excelled in large corporations in complex XFN environments. Would you share any advice for young professionals who are starting their career?
Yeah, I mean, just be open to possibilities, I think, and be prepared that things are going to change. My career, I've been in the technology business for 30 plus years now. And I started off thinking, oh, I'm going to be a software developer. I'm just going to code. I didn't really see anything beyond that. But in that time that I've been working, the world has changed so much, and I've changed, and I've realized things about myself that I wouldn't have realized as a whatever 22-year-old starting out. I didn't know that I had managerial capabilities. I had very little self-belief, but all these things grew as I got older and more experienced. I realized that there were some aspects of technology that I thought wouldn't be interesting that suddenly were. I was a little bit leery of cybersecurity in the beginning because I just thought it's all this fussy, detailed stuff. What if? But I actually love working in the identity business now. So just be open. I think that's the biggest thing. Don't try to pigeonhole yourself in the beginning and say, oh, here's my path for the next 10 years. It's not always going to be what you think it's going to be, and you should go with the flow. That's my advice.
Well said, Eleanor. Thank you so
Mhm.
much for joining our show. I'm sure audience learned a lot from your insights.
Yeah, thank you. I enjoyed talking to you. It's a lot of fun. Thank you.